I'm Austin and Brayden. You want to say hello, everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure to see everyone here. Some of you may recognize my face. I'm a media strategist here at Northbeam, working on some of your accounts to help you get the most out of the tool.
Cool. All right. So what are we doing today? We're talking about profitability benchmarks. The goal here is really, really simple. What is a number that you look at inside of Northbeam where you have confidence that if you scale down to an ad level, whether it's, whatever marketing channel we're talking about, that you feel comfortable given your cost of goods sold, all of your expenses, which we'll get into on the next slide, that you feel confident scaling. And if you've been with Northbeam for a while, you know that we try to be very scientific with our numbers. So, the number may be less than one. We have customers that scale a 0.18 on YouTube or a 0.32 on Meta or whatever the case may be, right? So we try to be that's a one-day click. So we try to be very scientific about what makes sense to scale. Yeah, so that's really it. And Brayden, you went to the next screen here. I'm gonna let Brayden jump in, but this is actually Northbeam 2.0, which is launching very soon. You can see on the right there, you'll see that little speed dial in the green. And that's basically a speed dial to show you of your ads that you're running, of all your channels, how much are you following these profitability benchmarks, right? So 77% is a score of like, hey, down to an ad level, according to that one day number, you're looking good, right? Um, so that's what that is. On the left is a real simple thing. It's a graph just showing how things are flowing revenue wise and spend wise. So real simple. Let's go next slide. So Brayden, yeah, you want to take this one, Brayden?
Yeah, absolutely. So data here at Northbeam is obviously table stakes for us. We differentiate in a few different ways. One, we have indefinite customer journeys. That means that we have all-time look-back windows across channels. Number two is our state-of-the-art machine learning. This helps us understand how spend correlates to conversions over time. And finally, probably the most paramount is profitability benchmarks. This is where, as Austin stated, we're able to give you a target that you need to hit to help you achieve profitability for your business.
Okay, hey, Aaron asked a question. I saw Aaron raise the hand. I don't see the question in there. Uh, so is it, let's see where that is.
Sorry about that. I meant to click chat and I raised my hand on accident. So
Sure.
thanks for flagging, but
Yeah,
no worries.
sure. Oh, on accident. Okay, got it, got it. Okay, cool. All right. So, all right, let's keep moving here.
Absolutely. So on this step, set up your benchmarks. This is sort of the back end, if you will, of how we're doing this calculation. In a nutshell, profitability benchmarks is strong and paramount for your business because we're actually taking a look at your unique data set to create these targets. So here on the screen, what you'll see is how we actually go about the inputs for this calculation. One, we define profitability for your business. This is very flexible inside Northbeam. There's a few different ways to think about it. On screen is when we're break even on all orders, but we can also do that on the first time customer cohort, returning, as well as contribution margin, and even more than that as well. Below that, we have our costs per order. This is where we pull in some data by default based on the data set that we have. Here you'll see media spend, taxes, shipping, discounts, return rate. But here you can also add your product costs, any other marketing costs you have associated with selling your products. This then allows you to not just have some arbitrary target, but it's actually geared towards profitability on the business level.
Okay, so maybe I'll take it a step further just for everyone out there. This isn't just accounting in the sense of like, hey, revenue for my day and my costs and like my media spend. The whole purpose is to extrapolate down to an attribution model what the target is we think you should scale to be profitable. So it's more than just basic accounting. It's an extrapolation based on your data down to how Northbeam's attribution works. So let's keep moving.
Absolutely. Uh, Very simply put, profitability benchmarks equals better media decisions faster. As you'll see here in this screenshot off to the right, what we're showing here is our targets for ROAS on an overall basis, first time customer basis, as well as returning, and then what you need to meet according to the benchmarks that we've set. What we allow you to do, and what's so awesome about this, is that any channel manager can come in here, optimize towards their targets, and they'll all be held to the same overall business North Star metric. In this case, we have an overall business profitable CAC, that when every single channel manager is holding themselves to their individual channel goals, it ladders up to that overall CAC number.
Yeah, so I'll let me expand if you will here, Brayden. Let's go a step further. So what does that mean? Historically, people think about like a CAC per channel in a silo, right? At Northbeam, we know that, hey, I may have like a really low number on Meta, for instance, because it's top of funnel, and then I may have a really high number on maybe Amazon or Google branded search, right? So we know that there's high variance in the reported CAC per channel. Obviously, this is a blended CAC we're talking about, or new customer CAC, depending on how you define it. And so we're saying if you hit the benchmarks for each of those channels, in this case, we'd see, oh, wait, revenue could grow 12% based on historical analysis, but maybe more importantly, your profit could grow 26% if you hit these targets that we define as profitable, right? And you can see down below in the second bubble, right? You see you've got your ROAS on a 1 day, and it looks like for this customer, they're above their target, which is great on all these channels, both on a first time basis and a returning. So it's essentially calculated every which way. Okay, we got a question. Our company is shifting from ROAS to profit ROAS for more accurate product management Q2. Will the product management tool support according allow custom inputs to calculate it? So you want to take it, Brayden, or you want me to go? You go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say broadly, companies are, at least what in my experience, shifting towards trying to ensure that media spend is not just profitable on, the initial order, but also profitable more long term. I think the beautiful thing about profitability benchmarks is because we're taking sort of the long tail of your BAU business performance, we're able to help you hit targets that are more representative of where you need to be on the long tail of the rest of the year, right? So what that means, simply put, is channel managers can confidently scale into campaigns and ads that are going to have a more net positive effect for longer, rather than just having blips or sort of
Yeah.
moments in time that are profitable.
Yeah. So the answer is taking a step further, is that you input those profitable targets into that setup tool. I know we went over that really fast. So essentially, we're able to do what you're talking about within the tool. And I see a question from Jake. No, it doesn't have to be a 1 day attribution window. So the cool part is once you input all those, costs and so on and so forth, you can look at any attribution window, and not only any attribution window, any model, right? So it'll re-extrapolate down to like, let's just say you want to use last click or whatever, or first click or whatever the case. It'll still take into account all the inputs. So good question, Jake, or both great questions.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I'd actually add to that too. That is awesome because you might have a paid social media buyer that's looking at clicks and views inside Northbeam, and
yeah,
then maybe Austin decides he prefers to look at clicks only. The really awesome part is that no matter what model you're using, whatever accounting mode
yeah.
you're using, it all still ladders back up to that overall business number.
That's right. That's right. And the whole idea is to really simplify the media buying process to, and so that we have some sort of understanding, are we on the right track, whatever the channel is. And obviously, each channel will have its own CAC target or ROAS target or PROAS target to the question after you've entered all your COGS. I mean, essentially, our benchmarks are PROAS to answer that question, just finally, right? That's really what they are. Let's keep moving.
Yeah, absolutely. So here is another screenshot in app of sort of what this would look like. So this is a line item representing a campaign here where we're saying, okay, here's your target that you need to hit, and here's where your ROAS is currently. So we see here that the target is being beaten. So we know that this media buyer can scale efficiently into this campaign, knowing that their profitability benchmark is being beat.
Yeah, and I'll reiterate something I said earlier. You notice that the number is a 0.39, right? Their target is a 0.35. And very often our customers who have exhaustively tested even our own numbers and profitability benchmarks, it's funny, they've done their own kind of calculus on their end, and it's been really cool to see that our calculation seems to match kind of their own gut checking that they've done. So that's been encouraging. We've done a lot of stress testing of this because obviously we want to keep an eye on it. But again, double decimal. targets are critical here, right? Okay, let's keep moving.
Absolutely. All right. So with benchmarking, we require 30 days of data inside of Northbeam to make these benchmarks accurate and meaningful to your business. Once you have that data available, we're then able to use that UI we showed a moment ago to calculate the benchmarks. And then this is sort of what you end up with, right? You end up with a profitability number or percentage for the overall business. And then we have by channel targets here for both overall, first time, and returning. So this is something your media strategist, as in myself or others that sit on my team, can help you calculate and then help you also recalculate on a recurring basis.
Right. Obviously, things change, right? So this isn't one of those set it and forget it forever kind of things. And of course, there are outlier situations, which we're going to address. But again, we're trying to keep it simple. The speed dial just kind of gives you a quick look of how you're looking overall. And then, of course, again, looking first time, returning, blended to give you a deeper dive. Let's keep moving.
Absolutely. So I would like to address now some of the most frequently asked questions we get when talking about benchmarking in general. First and foremost, what about seasonality, right? So during the course of the year, I might have periods where I have higher than normal sales volume or lower than normal sales volume. So how do we account for that? In the earlier step that we showed, essentially we have inputs that allow you to pull out those outliers, whether those be revenue, whether those be order outliers, or even media spend outliers. We can even do things such as blocking out date ranges. For example, during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, we might want to black that out from our business as usual performance and instead set separate targets there. So we are allowing you to adjust for seasonality amongst other things as well.
Or taking a step further, then I want to answer Jake's question. Taking a step further, you may want to calculate benchmarks during those periods as opposed to blocking them out, right? So you can really slice the data how you want to. So Jake asked a question. Can you separate channels? For example, if you want to look at D2C on Shopify as separate from Amazon. Yes. Generally, our customers will kind of blend Amazon together, and we'll even give you an Amazon benchmark, right? Which is obviously going to be higher, right? It's going to be a high number, like, maybe like a 12x ROAS, or it's going to be much higher than like you'd see on the top of funnel channels because there's a lot of demand capture there, right? But yes, you can lump it in, you can separate it out. Yeah, so hopefully that answers your question, Jake. And then I think someone raised their hand. Let's see here. Someone raised their hand.
I
I
think
thought
that
I
was
saw
another accident. It's their right
accident.
under the chat and the raise hand.
Okay. All
I
right.
guess.
So I wonder if we answer the KPI question. That kind of dovetails on what Jake was asking. But yeah, you could lump in data, exclude data, and calculate them in different ways. Let's keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. That actually does conclude for this
Oh, I see.
presentation. Yeah, I
Okay.
want to go back real quick, Austin, and just address KPIs real quick. So the flexibility too with profitability benchmarks means that, some folks are used to looking at a CAC, some folks are used to looking at a ROAS. We're
Yeah.
actually able to do both of those on both the overall business as well as individual channel level as well. So whatever your KPI is that you're focusing on, we can set a benchmark for it as well.
Right. And Rachel asked a good question. We really glossed over the setup. Rachel, so let me read Rachel's question. Was just wondering how we actually go about separating those goals for the various marketing seasons. So that's that first bubble in the top light. It's a great question, right? Because um, you may accept lower top of funnel goals during the build up to fourth quarter, right? As opposed to fourth quarter itself, because you're capturing more demand. So Rachel, in that setup screen, like if we go back, Brayden, maybe go back to slide 2. Okay. So I know we went over this really fast, Rachel, but what you'll do is that at the very top of this bubble here, you see a bunch of revenue days. And so what we would do is do date selections for each of those periods of time and then recalculate the benchmarks just selecting those time ranges, right? So you could do like business as usual, promotion, fourth quarter. And so we look and see what has historically been profitable and done well and then monitor it. Gotcha. Okay, cool, Rachel. Oh, Raquel. I think I said your name wrong. Sorry, Raquel. Uh, cool. Cool name. Okay. So, okay, what else we got? Any other questions before we hop? I like to be super. Oh, wait, here we go. Aaron Friedson, can you save in platform? Can you save in platform different profitability benchmarks, or do you have to keep track of them offline? Um, that's a really good question. So V1, we're launching kind of like business as usual benchmarks, right? Like, hey, this is meant to be like a directional. And it's a really great question. What folks are doing is kind of re-slicing and dicing on their own and then kind of just like, keeping track of it as a number. But we're going to be rolling that out. It's a great question, Aaron.
Yeah, I'll actually take that a little bit too, Austin. If you have a media strategist, this is also something you can reach out to them for to calculate these sort of ad hoc or separately from your
Yeah.
BAU. We used to do this with separate reports, but you can
Yeah.
certainly still reach out to your media strategist and we'd be able to set that up for you.
Cool. Let's see. Got an anonymous attendee. If you could only use one benchmark metric, which would it be? Well, oh, from both a marketer's or finance person's perspective. Okay. Quite frankly, that's a good question from the anonymous attendee here, our set of questions. From our perspective, um, the whole goal of the profitability benchmarks is so that kind of from a CS, financier or CFO, whatever title, someone on the finance team and the marketing team can kind of align on a profitable number to scale per channel. That's the idea here, right? So, the anonymous person was saying, what number would I choose? The answer is I always think it's really important for companies to be aligned, whether they say first time customer CAC, blended CAC, and I don't love acronyms. So customer acquisition cost, so like the cost to acquire a first time customer, or are you a company that focuses on return on ad spend or ROAS, right? Generally, from my experience, subscription companies love to focus on the first time CAC, right? Because we've got very large customers in Northbeam where they really understand their LTV for a subscriber and they're willing to pay a certain amount for that first time customer, right? So first time customer CAC, if you will. And they know that number and they're willing to wait a year to get paid back on it, right? Because they have a good understanding of how long people stick around. So for me, I think it's really important for executive teams to get aligned. But again, to answer the anonymous person's question, ROAS or CAC are generally the two things for profitability benchmarks I think are really important to think about. And then, like if you are a subscription company and you want your payback period to be 30 days, uh, because you're more sensitive with cash, great. Then you think about it that way, right? So anyway, that's my 2 cents. All right, any other questions? Let's see. We got here. Hopefully that answers your question for the anonymous person there. Um, yeah. So I think we covered everything. Hopefully it was simple. The goal was to make this simple for everyone. What's my number? What can I scale? Again, that question was good. You got to be on the same page with the team in terms of like how you think about the business, but it's real simple. Uh, so there it is. I think we nailed it, Drew. Oh, is this in beta? What's the timeline? So, hey Jake, it's ready to go. So we feel really good about it. We've tested with a lot of customers. If you need help, just email us, reach out to get it set up. We've been testing it for a while, so I think we're good to go on it. Again, feel free to reach out with for questions. But yeah, no, I think it's full rollout time on this one. Hence the webinar.
Awesome.
So, okay, cool.
All right. Any final comments, gentlemen, before we wrap it up?
From us, you mean?
Yeah. Or questions.
I've got anything, Brayden, you go for it.
Yeah, I just want to close from the media buyer's perspective of, this is really sort of the vindication tool, if you will. It allows, like Austin said, both the C-suite as well as the channel managers to unify finally on one target that is profitable for the business and one that allows you to execute faster on a day-to-day basis, right? And then also too, it allows your hard work to actually show in the numbers and show where we're scaling profitably.
Yeah. And I want to answer Curtis's question. Is it possible to insert fixed operating costs? The answer is yes. So in that setup tool, I know we went probably too fast through that first one. That first slide, you could insert, any costs you want. We have a section that's like other costs, right? So you can interject. And maybe if we go, oh, we're here. Okay. So Curtis, and for everyone, the goal here really is there's a little widget on the right. If you look, if you kind of zoom in, it's probably hard to see, but you see average order, and at the bottom right of that little thing, you see order profit, right? And so what you want to do when you input here is you want to feel good about that order profit number. So for Curtis, if you know you've got fixed operating costs that you want to account for in your overall profit per order, yeah, you want to get that in there, and then you want to see, does this order level profit number match my understanding of the business? Because then these media benchmarks by channel by ad should the idea is they're all calculated from what you're inputting here, right? So if you want to add your operating costs, great. That'll show up in your uh, order profit, essentially, right? Yeah, that's the idea. And then, of course, if let's say your fixed operating costs get lower or higher, then you can readjust, and that will set different targets within Northbeam, right? Because now we're like, wait a second, you need, instead of getting a 0.35 on a channel, you now need to get a 0.43 because your costs went up, right? And that allows your whole team to be aligned on, when you're spending down to an ad level, which things are profitable, right? Yeah, that's the idea. And to be clear, we've had long-term Northbeam customers many years where this is kind of something they've done within Northbeam. And so what we're trying to do is systematize it. I think that's probably a good way to wrap this up, unless there's any more last questions. But great question, Curtis. Thank you. Anything else we want to lob in? I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for spending some time with us. Thank you, Austin and Brayden, of course. And yeah, be on the lookout for this recording if you want to relive it all again. See you
Thanks,
all.
everybody. Appreciate
everybody.
the time. Thank you. Bye-bye.